of Bills head coach Sean McDermott. Does that make the Ravens the most desirable position? That and so much more on this episode of the Purple Rain podcast.
Oh, is Alex not here? Did we lose Alex? Oh, damn, we lost Alex.
There we
Let's get him
go.
back.
There we go. Welcome back. Welcome back to episode 371 of the Purple Rain podcast. The Justin Ellis, Jermaine Illuminor, Jerry Gaither, Jawan James, Ricky Wagner, and most recently, Carson Vincent episode of the Purple Rain podcast. A whole lot to talk about. Ravens did not play this weekend, but boy, still a whole bunch to talk about. But first off, the housekeeping. You can follow us here on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. Go check that out. Let's go over here. Had a real pop off. I woke up today. I was like, God damn.
I know.
I'll tell you what. The worst
It's
place,
crazy.
I think,
Yeah.
is either the TikTok comments or the real comments. Because there's a lot of just very stupid comments in there. Very stupid. Just, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, have not been able to read all of them. It's been that many, which is awesome. It's great, So make sure you follow the Instagram. And by the way, we're actually live on Instagram right now as we speak. So if you are a new watcher of the show, shout out to you. This is our live version of the show. We go live every Monday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube at the Purple Rain Podcast, just like you see there on Instagram. Shout out to everybody watching on Instagram. Shout out to everybody watching on X. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube or Kick as well. We are streaming live on all of those platforms. And a special shout out to the replay gang. If you're watching this after the fact, if you're not part of the hashtag live crew, right? Shout out to you as well. And then, of course, be remiss if I didn't shout out the Apple Podcast and Spotify listeners as well. For everybody, as it goes for everybody, please make sure you like this video. Please leave a thumbs up on this video, guys. If you're listening right now and you haven't liked the video yet, we're going to take a little 5-second moment of silence for you to go ahead and like the video before we get into anything juicy here on this episode 371 of PRP. Ready and go. All right, so hopefully you've liked the video by now. If not, maybe consider after you've watched a little bit of the content. I don't know. And if you're really feeling froggy and you want to join our chat, make sure you hit that subscribe button because that is the only way that you can chat with us here in the live video. So, Alex, like you said, we got a lot to get into. Jam-packed episode today. A lot of stuff happened over the weekend. Nick Wright said last week, and I know we don't really like to bring his name up on the show all that often, right? But he said something interesting last week. He said that divisional weekend of the NFL playoffs is the best weekend in sports. And I sat there and I thought about it for a second. I was like, you know what? He's not wrong when you think about it. I mean, because you get like a mixture of the best games, right? Sometimes wild card games can be hit or miss. You have some teams who kind of skate into the playoffs, right? But after the fat is trimmed, you get the creme de la creme in the divisional round weekend, right? The Elite Eight, if you will. And like you get 4 good games, Saturday and Sunday. And then the conference championship weekend, while that's great too, you only get 2 games that's on Saturdays. You don't get a full weekend of good football. You know what I mean? So I think he was kind of cooking with that one. What do you think, though?
For American sports, I can agree with that. I'll have to step back. I think the final ending of soccer is crazy, but American sports is definitely good. We only have 1 blowout, which sucks. I think that team just kind of overexceeded, and that's why they were there, the 49ers. But, I mean, 3 out of the 4, they were good. I think they came down, the Patriots came, it was about 3/4 of competitive. It didn't look like it. It was ugly, sloppy football, but it was still close in score. But the other 2, man, hats off. I mean, I wanted to go to sleep early last night with the whole Rams game. That didn't happen. That did not happen. I was like, oh man, I'm like, all right, maybe at 9 o'clock I can, lay in bed, maybe be asleep by 9:30, just to catch up on my sleep, start my week off right. No. Caleb Williams dropped back 40 yards and said, no, you're staying up another hour.
Yeah. Pretty much, man. I mean, it was a lot of really, really good moments. And I'll just say this, the NFL, they've been on a heater this postseason. I know we're and just sticking to American sports because I gotta pay respects to soccer, the biggest international sport in the world. Like you gotta pay your respects to the
MMA
actual
this
football.
weekend. I'm excited
MMA
for
is
that.
back this weekend as well. It's on CBS and Paramount for the first time ever. That's going to be huge. Patty
Yeah.
Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje. We're in a really good spot sports wise right now. I'll say that we're in a really, really good spot. Also, World Cup right around the corner. Right around the corner. I'm excited for that one. Alex knows it. So yeah, if you want more content following those events, make sure you again subscribe to the channel here because we got all of that coming. We're not just the Baltimore Ravens channel, as much as it may seem that way. That is our main thing. We also do other things as well. But again, Alex, like you said, a ton of really good games. Before we really dive into them, though, we do have a super chat donation. The first of the episode. This one's coming from our guy Chike. What's going on, Chike? Appreciate you for donating the $2 in the chat. Says who heard what Aikman said during the broadcast? I didn't hear that.
What's about Stroud, I think. I know he was
What do you say?
questioning whether they should resign him. They are throwing that out there, like those conversations. I know he said maybe it's time to bring in Davis Mills. Um,
Mm,
I don't know, man. That was. I guess we can start reviewing the games. We're gonna
sure. Yeah.
leave the Bills Broncos game for last for obvious purposes, but I guess to start us off, we'll start the AFC. And
Okay.
yesterday, Stroud and May, Drake May, I think is gonna be your MVP. So Patriots and Texans, snowy game. Weather definitely played a factor, I'd say, but four interceptions in the first half. Um, that boy looked like Matt Schaub out there talking about Texans quarterbacks, not CJ Stroud. Pick six, just a Matt Schaub specialty. Fumbling. It, it looked like he was seeing ghosts out there. It really did. And I wouldn't have say benching him. I think he is your franchise quarterback. Obviously, that may play a part into the whole contract negotiations. But at the same time, no Nico Collins. They had their third string tight end out there. Their first two tight ends got hurt. He was dealt a really tough hand, but he wasn't making it better for himself.
Yeah. I mean, in this one, like you said, it did really seem like CJ Stroud was seeing ghosts. I mean, there were plays where he was literally just like dropping back and just throwing it up, just throwing it anywhere. I was kind of confused as to like how he came out and looked that rattled until I realized this Patriots defense is a lot better than I gave them credit for. They have been absolutely swarming this playoffs. I mean, you think about wild card weekend, they only let up 3 points to the LA Chargers, had Justin Herbert in absolute hell all game long. It was the same thing for CJ Stroud. He suffered the exact same fate as Justin Herbert did last week. This Patriots defense, especially up front with Milton Williams and those boys, man, they have been pushing the pocket around like crazy. And honestly, the thing that I was like so impressed about the Patriots defense with the most was just how opportunistic they were. With these turnovers, like they were all over it. There were so many near misses, right? I mean, you talk about the what the 5 turnovers from CJ Stroud alone. Was it 4 or 5 from
It
him?
was five, I believe.
Yeah, 5 turnovers from CJ Stroud alone. He could have easily had 8.
Yes.
Right? That's how bad it was. I mean, there were so many near misses from the defense. So, what I saw from the Patriots, all signs point towards, and we'll get into it, like you said, Broncos, Bills later, but all signs for me point towards them getting into the Super Bowl. Again, successful hate watch in that last game. Again, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I promise. But no, the Patriots look damn good, man. They look damn good. And Mike Vrabel looks like it's his time.
And you mentioned that Kalevion Chason as well. This guy was a bust, a
Yeah.
first round pick by the Jags in 2020. Bounced around, I believe, went to the Raiders. Now he's back with now he's with the Patriots. Mike Vrabel, he did it in Tennessee as well. He had Camille Correa, remember him, Ravens fans, looking like a freaking stud. Has Kalevion Chason looking like a stud. Mike Vrabel knows how to get the best out of his defense, and we are a Ravens podcast, so I will bring this back to the Ravens. This offense with our line had them on the ropes. We had Derrick
Yeah.
Henry running all over him. And yes, I'm still a little, obviously I'm happy Harbaugh's gone and we're into a new chapter, but it makes me wonder what this team really could have done with the correct signings, with the correct just usage of players, because I saw him Sunday Night Football in person. D. Henry was running all over him. Hell, Huntley came in and we
Yeah,
had a chance to
man.
win. We had a
Yeah.
chance. So just makes you wonder about this team. But, that's probably why I'm feeling good going forward with this whole coaching stuff. But yeah, Stroud wasn't looking good. And I don't agree benching him. Um,
Yeah, no, I don't agree with benching him either. I mean, I was thinking about it at halftime, right? And I was thinking, you know what? Like he's been playing so bad. I would not be surprised if at least the conversation was to be had about it. But then I thought about it. Like I thought about 2018. wild card weekend, Ravens versus Chargers.
Mm,
What, about third quarter of that game when Lamar Jackson wasn't playing well at all, right? And some of the fans were chanting for Flacco
yep.
to get in the game. And I thought about that at the time too, and I was like, while it would be nice to see if Flacco could like provide some sort of spark, I think it would be career suicide
Hmm.
to sit Lamar Jackson down right now and kind of take the keys from him after you already gave him the keys. It breaks the trust, and I think it really damages the relationship and the psyche of the quarterback, right? Especially a young quarterback. So I think the CJ Stroud, you had to like live with him and die by him. I mean, he's been really good for the Texans since he's been drafted, right? But he might be suffering some of those playoff demons. So, like you mentioned, this will play a part in his contract negotiations. And I think all he's really done is kind of given some cards back to the Houston Texans for that. You know what I mean? Like he gave them a little bit more leverage.
Yeah, Rainmaker says different. This was 2 straight weeks of garbage play. It was. He was not good against the Steelers. He has should be thanking his defense for that. I think that's why when we look at quarterback wins in the playoffs, none of them are built the same. That one against the Steelers, um, defense was amazing. Even yesterday, Will Anderson. If we're talking
Oh,
about contract
dog.
extensions, you
Yeah.
extend him.
Yeah.
Danielle Hunter, he was a free agent. Guys like that are who I would like to bring in. Once again, we are Ravens fans, so I will bring him back to the Ravens. Guys like that who hit the free agent market, great to bring in, and they kept him in the game. What, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles?
Yeah.
Are you serious? I think the Patriots had more turnovers in one half than the Ravens defense has given Lamar his whole career in the playoffs, if not more.
Man, which is why it's all the more important. We'll get into it later. Who the next head coach is for the Ravens, and or if they have a genius at defensive coordinator. We got to see, because the turnovers in the playoffs is something that you absolutely need in order to really secure yourself some of these wins, right? I mean, you look at the Super Bowl from last year when the Eagles were turning over the Chiefs constantly over and over again in that first half. I mean, that really blows a game open. Turnovers massively swing games, massively. And if you have an offense who's competent enough to capitalize off those turnovers, it just makes it all the better. So, we're really kind of learning our annual lesson in real time and what works in this NFL and what doesn't, right? You need domination in the trenches. You need to be able to get after the quarterback, create chaos on defense. And that's kind of like the common theme, right? I'm sure that the next game we'll get into, I'll mention this as well, but the Patriots defense was simply creating chaos. They were creating chaos, and that's what you need from your defensive unit, man. Mike Vrabel has those boys absolutely balling out, and I'm sure they want to run through a wall for him,
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see Mike Vrabel kind of have this redemption arc after, he had the initial little burst in Tennessee, and that kind of went off the rails a little bit after the Ravens derailed it, personally. Uh, and then he's now with the Patriots, and he looks like he belongs there. He looks like he belongs there. But congratulations to the Pats. It's looking like to me they'll probably end up going all the way. Don't know if they'll win it, but yeah, who's next?
You're gonna mention. I mean, you mentioned FC, so we'll start. That first game was the Niners and the Seahawks, and it wasn't really a game. I'll tell you this: I was watching the post game of um, the Bills and Broncos. I was kind of trying to see what they were saying, watching the press conference. I get a notification. It's 7-0 already for the Seahawks. Rashid Shaheed opening kickoff, housed, and I'm like, well, there you go. I guess that's how this game's gonna go, and that's exactly how the game went. And to just add more salt to the wound, this game, Jawan Jennings, that would have cashed our plus 1,000, I believe. Everything else
Yep.
hit. And
Yeah.
because they went down and because Brock Purdy just was seeing ghosts, it cost our plus 1,000. Every other read, it was there once again. It's, oh my gosh, we're getting so freaking close. But
I
this
know.
game, it wasn't really a game. And you mentioned the Eagles. That's low key who the Seahawks team reminds me of defensively because their defense can get them out of any jam. I think they have it up front. They have the guys in the back end. They're playing really damn good. Obviously, not Jordan Davis type, Jalen Carter, but their defense is keeping them in games. I think this defense can win them a Super Bowl, and we'll get into that on Thursday, the preview. But this is a damn good team, if not the most complete team in the league. They are very scary, but they did lose Zach Charbonnet to a torn ACL.
Ooh, Yeah, that definitely hurts. That definitely hurts. Um, Real quick, over 100 people watching PRP live right now. Shout out to you guys. Again, my name is Sutton Def. That is my co-host, Simply AS10, and we are the Purple Rain Podcast. If this is your first time watching live, salute to you. Welcome in. If you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and also the like button as well. Not really sure how many likes we're at yet, but we'll find that out later. Make sure you leave a like on the video. We'd appreciate that. It helps us out so much, guys. It really does. So just, if nothing else, leave a like. Hit a little thumbs up for us. Anyway, you talk about the Seahawks. I talked about defenses creating chaos, like the Patriots. That's exactly what the Seahawks do. Exactly what the Seahawks do. Mike McDonald has, he literally has them looking like the 2023 Ravens, for lack of better words. Like that's what it looks like. That's what it feels like when I'm watching the Seahawks defense. They're stingy, they force turnovers, right? I mean, I'm loving what I'm seeing from them. Um, and I can only imagine, hypothetically speaking, if it were to be the Seahawks and the Patriots in the Super Bowl, what that game would look like. You know what I mean? Like, a part of me feels like it would be like a defensive slugfest, and it might end like 10-6 or something like that. But then the other part of me thinks that it could also be a straight up slugger. Like, it could be a 31 to 36 or something like that, and it could be a really good game. Both of those teams are looking amazing right now. Sam Darnold looked like, his oblique or whatever it wasn't bothering him at all. I'm pretty sure he got some of the finest drugs that, you know,
Yeah,
the land can offer.
or
And
tranquilizer.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. He had a little tranquilizer in his oblique, and he was good. But no. And JSN, he did his thing as well. The Seahawks, man, I really don't see a way that they get stopped, man. It's next week's gonna be tough, and we're gonna get into that. But yeah, I really like what I saw from the Seahawks too.
Yeah, I guess now on to the Rams game and Bears, because I think there was more to talk about in this game rather than the last game. It was what, 41-6. How the backups
Yeah,
came in. Drew Lock came
and a
in.
lot of the and real quick, a lot of the things that we have to talk about from some of these games has like it flows into our next segment. So I'm trying to kind of like hold some things back, but go ahead, Alex.
Rams Bears. I mean, you could say this was the game of the weekend. Um,
Classic.
Tell you what, first off, they started by saying Rams players put cayenne pepper in their socks. Keep them warm,
Yeah,
the blood circulation going, chicken broth on the sidelines. It's cold. I mean, these guys, LA, even if you play, in a cold weather city, I'll tell you this right now. I walk outside. I've lived here in Baltimore my whole life, Maryland. When it's real cold, it hits me the first time like it's hit me. I'm not used to it. It definitely hits me. So for these guys, I'm thinking, oh, Matt Stafford, he played here when it's cold, but when you step out in that cold, it's all over again. Kind of just got to get used to it. But was a good game. What was it? 17-10. I think it was a good game back and forth. Puka wasn't really getting too much going on. Devontae Adams didn't have a catch, I think, until the fourth quarter. Um, Back and forth. Matt Stafford was being held in check. The first drive, the Bears go down. I think they went for it on fourth down or he threw a pick the first drive. I really just want to get the point of that throw. It's what 40 some seconds left, fourth
yeah.
and goal, 17-10. You got to have this or you're eliminated. And they snap the ball and their pass rush gets home. The Rams, but Caleb Williams backpedaling, running back, running
He
back.
pulled the Lamar. He pulled the Lamar.
He pulled Lamar and he winds it up and he throws it. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. Cole Kmet in the background, at the back of the end zone.
That play, Alex, got me out of my seat. I was like chilling, like literally sinking in the sofa. Like I'm just like, okay, this game is almost over. The Bears are probably going to turn it over right here. It was fourth down, right? Yeah, like you said, it was fourth down. They're probably going to turn it over right here. It's going to be over from there. He throws it like he dances back, and I'm like, where have I seen this before? Like guys like dancing back, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, eventually he's going to have to throw it, and he did. And to see Cole Komet back there uncover and get that touchdown, man, I was ecstatic, and it really made me think about like this is why I love this game. You know what I mean? Like moments like that is why I love the game. And I went out and I tweeted directly after that. I was like, Iceman, because Caleb Williams is my guy. I like Caleb Williams a lot. He gives me like a baby Patrick Mahomes, to be honest with you, with the way that he plays. Sneaky athletic, can make every throw in the book, kind of erratic sometimes, can make some mistakes here and there. But for the most part, he's just a natural born playmaker. And when he's feeling it, he's absolutely feeling it. That's what I love about him. But going into overtime of that game, man, I really felt like he got a little bit ahead of himself. You know, I said in my short that I posted last night, I said that, Caleb Williams, it felt like he was trying to be a little bit too big for the moment. Like in overtime, when they got the ball on that last drive, on their last offensive drive, right? It was next score wins. All they needed was a field goal. There was no need to try to go for the jugular on a lot of those different plays, like going down the field. They were like maybe 10 yards away from field goal range. Take some check downs. Give me the death by a million cuts Tom Brady offense. That is the difference between winning or losing in the playoffs, right? That's the difference. The Patriots would not have won so many games in their dynasty back in the mid 2010s if they had not made decisions like that. If they weren't disciplined enough to know, okay, we're in a scenario right now where we can get down the field. It's not going to look sexy, right? We're not going to be throwing a bunch of go balls down the field and whatnot. We'll have the occasional big play to Gronk, whatever. But for the most part, no. I mean, it's just pre-snap. Brady knows exactly where he's going with the ball. Up the seam to Edelman. Check down who was one of the running backs from the Patriots back in that day. Just give me one.
Danny Woodhead,
Danny Woodhead, right? I mean,
Ben
anybody.
Jarvis, Green Ellis.
There you
On
go.
and going.
Exactly. Right, exactly. It wasn't sexy stuff. I mean, they would just get down the field. And like before you know it, they were on the 2 yard line and they were punching it in with a fullback. Right. That's the type of football that you got to play to win games. That's the difference between winning or losing. It seems like, and I don't want to go too long on this take, but let me know what you think about this, Alex. It seems like the current offensive coaches in the NFL don't really know how to deal with the new star quarterbacks in this league, right? They don't know how to balance when to let them just be the superstar, dual threat, mobile quarterback who can make every throw and can run around guys. They don't know when to manage that, but also have them be, a smart, cerebral, hey, look, take what the defense gives you, dial them in like, hey, we're not looking for a big play. Caleb, look, we're not looking for a big play here. We just want to get down the field. You got a check down right there to Kyle Manungai. Give it to him. Set up 3rd and 2, right? It's 2nd and 8 right now. If you set up 3rd and 2, that is a win for us. We don't have coaches who can really balance that anymore. It's like either, hey, go all out and be Superman or nothing, So it's a weird dynamic. I feel the same way for Josh Allen, and maybe that's why McDermott's gone. We'll get into that. But yeah, what do you think about that take, Alex?
I do. I think it's like you're in overtime, but you can take up the whole 10 minutes of overtime. You're going to a second overtime. The game's not going to end if you run out of time. We saw it with the Ravens Broncos in 2012. Like it did feel rushed. I think when the fourth and something, or third and something, he ran, got the first down. That's great. He filmed himself. He took a big hit. But
Big
in,
hit,
in
Nate
the moment,
Landman.
in the moment, why slide? Why dive? Get it, take the hit, and just keep on going. Um, I saw that DJ Moore, I think, stopped on his route. Ben Johnson, I don't know, why we're calling that. I feel like we could have been a little bit more, calm. You had DeAndre Swift, like saying Manungai. They were hitting their holes, they were getting their yards. Um, it just felt like they wanted to score quick, score fast. You're at home. I get you have the home crowd behind you, but that's what
I think
happens, and that
that
caution.
that that crazy touchdown with 40 seconds left, I think that gassed him up a little bit. I
It
think it
did.
gassed him up a little bit. I think he wanted the kill shot. He wanted the home run, to really put the exclamation on the game when it's like, bro, that's not what you need right now. You have an opportunity to get a home run next week, but right now, you just got to win this game. You got to win this game or else there is no tomorrow. So you do take the check down. You do manage risk. Some of these quarterbacks have to manage risk better in some of these high leverage scenarios. That goes for Josh Allen. That goes for Caleb Williams. Hell, that goes for Lamar Jackson at times. You know what I mean? All these guys. But yeah, man. I mean, overall, that was a phenomenal game. I loved. I knew it was going to be fire. I knew it was going to be a fire game. And the thing about the Rams, because I haven't really talked about them, but the thing about the Rams is they played a very, very clean game. I was impressed. You know what I mean? For them to be on the road in the Windy City, what, damn near 0 degrees or something like that. Excuse me. They played a perfect game. They did not turn the football over, right? They didn't even have any drops. Like they just played so
Yeah.
clean, and I thought that was kind of like indicative of a team who is Super Bowl ready, a team who has again been there and done that.
Hmm.
So, like we talked about in the last game, the Seahawks look damn good, but the Rams, they look damn good and they're seasoned. right? Like they know not to make any mistakes, right? They're going to let you make a mistake if anything, and that's what the Rams did yesterday. Maybe we'll see if the Rams can manufacture that same sort of thing. That maybe they can make Sam Darnold struggle, but it's going to be a hell of an interesting matchup, Alex. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I do want to give some shout outs on the Bears real quick. Jaquan
Okay.
Brisker. I feel like
Ooh,
every
yeah,
single play he was making it. Um, Kyler Gordon, I think him coming back in the fold looked better. And our favorite former ex Raven for about a week, CJ Gardner Johnson. He got that defense, and I hate not hate to say it, but he turned it around. Things started turn around when he got there. I think he was a good piece for them.
yeah,
They can hold their head up high. The Bears can. I think if I'm a Bears fan, I'm excited for next year. I have a really good quarterback on a rookie contract. Hopefully, you make the right moves. I think the line was helping him out. You can always improve on there with the draft. I think Colston Loveland is a stud. Sucks he had the concussion, went out. They have
yeah.
some pieces to build around, and if you're a Bears fan, just be excited, I guess, because right now, to me, I think the Vikings don't know where they're at. The Packers as well. I mean, they just re-up their coach, but Jordan Love, you just beat them twice, and then you also have the Lions right now with a whole new OC. So who knows what they look like? But you're right now the top dog in the division, so enjoy that. But I agree for
Yeah.
the Rams. Their season, when they gave the ball back to Stafford, it's like, well, that's game. I mean, he's been here, done that, and that throw to Devontae Adams on
Beautiful
third
throw.
and 10.
Beautiful throw. I was like, bro, when that ball was in midair, I was like, bro, there's no way that this ball gets there. And it got
Catch.
there. And it was a catch. I was like, bro, there's no way. Like, there was literally like maybe what, an inch of room to fit that football. And it goes back to what I said last week, Alex, about Matthew Stafford. Like, time and time again, we see that this guy, he's just an ace. He's an absolute ace. I mean, he's what Joe Burrow might be in 8 years. You know what I mean? Like if Joe Burrow were to change teams, hypothetically speaking, and he goes from what would have been his Detroit Lions and the Cincinnati Bengals to another team that is
Mm,
more equipped and ready to,
mm.
house Joe Burrow and support him, then we could see a similar career trajectory. I really do believe that.
Is Jamar Chase his Megatron? Ooh,
Yeah. Good
conversation,
comparison. Yeah, yeah,
conversations.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, they got on down, and the thicker kicker winning it, big on him. I mean, this guy thrown into a huge moment, hostile environment. It's cold out, nails it, ice in the
yeah.
veins. They're moving on, and I can't wait for that game, that NFC Championship. I'm looking, more forward to that than the AFC Championship. I cannot wait.
Oh, for sure. For
Like,
sure. Yeah.
and the last time they played was that Thursday night game in Seattle. Are you kidding me? Like, if we can get just 75% about that, oh my gosh, I would take it. That was a great game. Yeah, that
Cinema.
that one. Yeah, absolute cinema. But all right, let's Kwame started here. Josh Allen pack. We're to it. We waited to get to this because this will lead us into our next topic: the Broncos and the Bills. Probably my second or third favorite hate watch ever. The first being the Bengals and the Rams in 21. Close second, or maybe third, was the Bills and Chiefs last year because I didn't want, the Bills beat us. I didn't want them to make the Super Bowl. This one was different though, it felt like. No Lamar, no Mahomes in the AFC, just a bunch of young guys. Bo Nick,
Yeah.
Drake May, CJ Stroud, how Trevor Lawrence was in there. Josh Allen, you had a clear path until you didn't. 4 turnovers. 4.
Yeah.
Where do we start? There's a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, there's a whole lot to talk about. I mean, I guess we can start with the turnovers. Now, here's the thing. One of those turnovers, if I just want to be completely fair, right? I won't totally put on Josh Allen. And that was the last one, the throw to Brandon Cooks where McMillan ends up coming up with it. And we'll get into that controversial, right, quote unquote, play later. But the other three, we're talking about, the interception where I mean, he kind of hangs it out there, and the guy I can't remember exactly who it was. The DB jumps the route and picks it off, just clean pick there. I mean, you also had a strip sack while he was in the pocket. You got to have better pocket awareness than that. And then you also had the most egregious one was the one right before halftime, right where they're trying to make something happen before the half. He scrambles out of the pocket and ends up fumbling the ball, just dropping the football. I mean, he's holding the ball just like with no security at all, and just lets it go. And the Broncos end up recovering. even though the Bills had another chance to hop back on it. Offensive linemen are some of the most uncoordinated people when it comes to like throwing their body around. You know, it baffles me every time when I see an offensive lineman try to dive on a loose football. It just never works. It never
Yeah.
works, right? But no, man, Josh Allen with those 4 turnovers should have never. If those turnovers didn't happen, they would have never been in a situation where they would have had to go to overtime with that Broncos team. I feel like that they could have pulled away from that Broncos team. But yeah, what were your thoughts on Josh Allen's turnovers, really quick?
That one, that where he just lost it, I thought I was seeing Mark Andrews against the Patriots again. Looked like he threw it behind him. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way this is happening in this big of a game, in this moment, 2-minute drive. Just get some momentum going into the half, and it just all fell apart. Willets comes out, bangs a field goal, and the Broncos go into halftime with all of the momentum. I guess we can talk about that. I mean, it kind of coincides with that controversial interception.
Yeah,
That's an interception. I don't see what's so controversial
yeah,
about it. I,
clear as day,
yeah, I mean, when
clear
he comes
as day.
down, the ball's getting ripped from him. Um,
Yeah,
Kind of like the Kayshawn Booty. I know somebody brought it up when he caught it against Marlin, which was PI. He had the ball going down, but Marlin punched the ball out, therefore making it an incomplete pass. He did not complete the full catch. Well, believe me,
yeah.
us as Ravens fans know what a catch is and
Oh yeah, we
what
know.
isn't.
Yeah, we
We know
know.
now. We know. I just don't see how this
Painfully privy to what a catch is.
and going back to the last game, the Rams Bears game,
Yeah,
with Devontae Adams catch or no catch, two
yeah,
different two different things. I thought
yeah.
that was a catch and this was not a catch going into interception. So I don't know why this was a controversy at all. I'll get more into the refs because the game should have been over in overtime. Should have been a safety. Holding wasn't called, but we'll get into that. We haven't got there yet.
It amazes me, Alex, how like so many people who are above us in the football world, right? So I'm talking about guys like Sean McDermott, who we'll get to in a second. I'm talking about media guys like Rich Eisen. I'm talking about, a couple of other prominent figures as well in the football world. They're all sitting there scratching their heads like, wait a minute, is that not a catch? And then Brandon Cooks was down. I'm like, wait a minute, have you guys not been watching football? Right? I mean, just last season, and Ravens fans, again, this is why Ravens fans are painfully privy to what a catch is. Just last season, we saw Justice Hill go through that same thing. Deep ball from Lamar Jackson to Justice Hill. Justice Hill catches it, but the defender also has his hands on the ball. They roll off the ground. Defender ends up with the ball. That's an interception. 10 times out of 10. So and Colin Coward was the same way. He was kind of confused at how that wasn't a catch. I'm like, bro, we can't be watching the same game, you
No,
know? So it wasn't controversial at all. That was 1000% an interception. If you want to talk about maybe a weird call, let's talk about some of those pass interference calls,
no.
maybe at the very end of the game, that they pinned the Bills with. One of them, the one that was on Tre'Davious White, 100,000% pass interference. 100,000%.
He's tackling him while he's jumping. You
Yeah.
know, I felt happy because this was the same Trey Davius White who, before we played them in the playoffs last year, was going around hugging his old teammates. I'm all for it. I know football is bigger than the game. I've never played at that level. It's the playoffs. Let's not be all buddy buddy with Josh Allen. He's going to be throwing your way because he knows you're old, you're washed,
Yeah.
and he threw his way. And Keon Coleman, pushed off of him. No PI. Funny, no PI there. When it's against them, it's cool. Blatant PI there. And then gets a PI here, and he's saying that it's not you tackled him midair. I don't get it.
Mid-air. Come on now. And like he's so I mean, he's mad because he knows his season's over. He knows that like that was the season right there. And then there was the other pass interference call that was less egregious than the Trey White one, but I think it still was pound for pound pass interference because the
Yes.
ball was on the way. And I can't remember who the defender was for the Bills on that play. Do you know, Alex, who that was on that play?
Mm, mm.
Can't quite remember who it was, but the defender was pulling at the arm of the receiver. I want to say it was Cortland Sutton who was going out for that ball. The defender was pulling at his arm as the ball was coming in. It wasn't hand fighting between the two. No, the defender was pulling at his arm, pulling it down. He lets go of it like right before the ball gets there, but at that point, you already interfered with the receiver.
Teron Johnson.
Got it.
And,
Okay. Okay.
you know, it's even funnier because You can cry pass interference. There was a roughing the passer call on the same play.
Yep. Yep. Joey
Joey
Bosa.
Bosa just threw him on the ground, so the PI was 17 yards, the roughing the passer was 15 yards. So if we want to cry over 2 yards, we can do that, but either way, it's a first down, move the chains. I do want to give a shout out to Cortland Sutton because he was quiet for most of the game, but when it
Yeah.
came in the fourth quarter in OT, he stepped up, 3rd and 11, converting. That's what you need to do when you're paid that money. You step up in the big moments. So hats off to him. But you can't make those stupid mistakes penalties. It'll lose you
You
games.
can't. You can't. It'll definitely lose you games. Now, let's talk about the overtime
Hmm.
period in this game. I just broke it down earlier. I made a little video about it, posted on the channel. Make sure you guys check that out after this. But I thought that the Bills' overtime game plan on offense was highly flawed, right? Most specifically, their second and final drive, right? That drive there, they had 1st and 10 on 3 different occasions. All 3 of those first downs were predictable runs up the middle from James Cook, right? Now, mind you, on those runs, the Denver Broncos, whose defensive line was dominating at that point in the game, the Denver Broncos had 8 guys in the box and 10 guys in the box at a time, ready to sell out and stop the run on first down. So instead of doing anything creative, instead of like, maybe booting off of a run, right? A fake to James Cook and having Josh Allen get out of there and use his wheels, use his best asset, right? In the biggest moment. No, you give it to James Cook, who I believe he had a fumble in that game too, didn't he?
I believe he did. I believe he
Yeah. That's really neither here nor there, but like you give it to James Cook 3 times in a row on first down, and he goes for 1 yard, 3 yards, and -1 yards. I mean, it didn't make any sense to me. There was no creativity, there was no imagination at all. I mean, if your best punch is a hook and ladder toss, if that's as deep as your bag goes, Joe Brady, then good luck. Good luck. Rickster, appreciate the sub, man.
thank you. I'm glad you brought up Joe Brady. This guy better not get a second interview with the Ravens as head coach. After that,
Now you
please
talking.
don't even get him close to Baltimore. He can go take the Bills opening position. He can because
Yeah.
it's not here. And I'm glad you brought that up because I'm looking at the receivers and I'm thinking, I watched the game against the Jags. Guys like Khalil Shakir had a good game. I'm like, surely those guys maybe had a couple of drops, maybe weren't feeling themselves. Dalton Kincaid, 6 targets, 6 catches, 83 yards and a touchdown. Khalil Shakir, 9 targets, 7 receptions, 75 yards. Dawson Knox, 3 catches, 32. Brandon Cook, 2 for 20 on 6 targets. It's not like their receivers weren't catching the ball. They easily could have had him pass. I think that would have been a short route. Khalil Shakir is one of the best yak receivers in the league. Give him a 5 yard dump off on first down. He'll get to 2 more yards. You're 2nd and 3. Then you can run it there.
Yeah.
Awful play calling. It's almost like they don't trust Josh Allen. Maybe they should
Yeah.
graduate the system. That's what I was told.
And you know what's ironic, Alex? I was thinking about this earlier today. You mentioned maybe Josh Allen needs to graduate to a new system.
Mm,
You know who I think the Bills need to bring in order to take Josh Allen to that new era?
who could that be?
First name Greg,
Mm,
last name Roman.
little
I'm
G
telling
Rarity.
you. Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you,
They got the
bring
tight
him
end.
back. Right. They got the tight ends. You have a mobile quarterback. You have a good run game.
Good
I
line.
guarantee good line. I guarantee you, Greg Roman would have drew up some design runs for Josh Allen on that drive just to put extra pressure on the defense, right? And to stay ahead of the sticks, like we're saying, because look, I mean, at a certain point in these high stakes playoff games, when you're playing against one of the best defenses in the league, they are not going to let you run the ball on 1st and 10. They're just not going to do it, right? They're going to have Hufanga crashing down the line on the backside, right? They're going to have guys 4 down linemen, 8 in the box, 10 in the box, and they're going to dare you to throw on 2nd and 7 through 10. So it's just like I don't understand the thought process of Joe Brady, and then I don't understand the mindless green lighting it by Sean McDermott to just let them continue to do that over and over and over again because they were just playing exactly into the Broncos' trap, man. It was crazy to see, truly.
It was, and even with the whole interception, the the Broncos had to drove down the field, got their field goal. But to me, past the game, I'm sitting there. I think I'm. What am I doing? I know I had some dinner afterwards. I see this notification from Tom Pelissero. And you know what I'm
Hmm.
about to say? It says Bo Nix ain't
Ah,
out for the year. I'm like, no way. I'm like, what are you talking? I just saw him, take it out, run for a couple of yards. Obviously, he threw the one throw that was a PI, takes a knee. Saw him talk after the game. I didn't notice a limp. I didn't notice him hurt. He was standing. Nope. And I was just gutted for him. I just put together good
yeah.
drives, was playing well. I feel for him. Couldn't happen at the worst time. I mean, unless it was in the Super Bowl, but yeah,
Bo Nix, and I continue to be proud of my original Bo Nix take when he was drafted a couple of years ago because I said I believe in this kid. I think that this kid is going to be nice. And boy, did he prove me right. He was in the same situation that Trevor Lawrence was in last week. Got the ball back with a little bit of time left, got to go down the field, get a touchdown. And I tweeted, I was like, let's see if Bo Nix folds under the pressure against the Bills like Trevor Lawrence did, but he did no such thing. He went right down that field, went right over the top, scored that touchdown. And then, of course, it goes to overtime and he's making all the throws. I mean, even on a bum ankle. I
yeah,
mean, he threw those balls, that ended up being pass interference on a bum ankle.
yeah.
Like I don't really know what else to say about Bo Nix. I mean, Cyborg Bo might be the new nickname for him because I mean the guy obviously he's got it in him. He's got that dog in him, right?
Yeah,
And again, like you said, I'm absolutely gutted for him. I'm gutted for the Broncos fans because they really felt like this was their time. And they would have actually had a shot against the Patriots next week. Surprise, surprise! I'm picking the Patriots to beat the Broncos with Jarrett Stidham starting at quarterback. But no, man. I mean, it just sucks. You never want to hear that. But yeah, man. I hate that. I hate that.
you can only be happy for about an hour. You're excited over the win. You just beat a Super Bowl contender, a team that's been there for the past 6 years. You've been in the AFC Championship divisional. They're shoe-ins all the time for the playoffs. Shoe-in to be a Super Bowl favorite, and you beat them, and 1 hour later, if not an hour, you hear your quarterback who just kind of put the team on his backup points is out for the rest of the playoffs with that ankle. Like I don't want to fathom it because how can you even be excited? And I know Jared Stidham. I know you're kind of getting delusional, hyping yourself up. I've been there,
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have to.
but it's like maybe this is Nick Foles, and I don't see it.
I
The
mean,
only
1-3 in career starts.
the only thing I've gone from I think he looked all right in preseason. I did watch his film in there. Obviously, you're against twos and threes, wasn't against ones, but one thing going for you, you have the fans behind you. It would have been worse if you go into New England in a hostile environment. You have them on your back and you have a great defense. So unless this guy can Trent Dofer his way into a Super Bowl, I just don't see it happening. And D Westing here, does Dan Orflosky bother me? And you know what? Thank you for kind of getting me on to my next point. The
Yeah.
coddling, the protecting
Mm.
of Josh.
Mm.
Just call it how it is. He was ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I saw the same thing when Lamar, obviously, he had a bad fumble and the pick with Bateman and against the Bills. They put that on him. They put that loss on him against the Bills when he had his tight end fumble twice and drop a pass, or fumble once and drop the pass in the end zone. And then you have, you're throwing, you have a play where your O lineman goes out for a pass in the red zone when you're at the goal line. And then you say, "Oh well, what more can the Bills do for Josh Allen?" What are you four turnovers? He single handedly lost them the game and got their head coach fired. Please talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Colin Coward, who I actually like a lot, he tweeted after the game, he said, the Bills are a quote, cursed franchise. And to have the unmitigated gall to use the word cursed when you're describing a team that turned the football over a collective 5 times, Josh Allen himself averaged 1 turnover per quarter of that game. There's no way, no chance in hell that you can leave that game thinking that the ball just doesn't bounce the Bills' way. At some point, you got to hold this kid accountable. NFL, official Twitter or Instagram, why do we have to feel sorry for Josh Allen? Why do we have to feel for him? Right? He turned the ball over 4 times. Let's call it how it is. Right?
Mm.
I, I don't understand it. We have 130 people watching live right now. Let us know if you understand it. Let us know if you think that there's been enough criticism towards Josh Allen, or do you feel like they're shooting him too much bail? Let us know down below in the comments if you're part of the replay gang. And also, please, 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 if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel as well. Alex, back to you. What do you think?
I like Josh Allen. I hate that I'm forced to root against him as being a Ravens fan, but that's just kind of how fandom goes. But I think he's a phenomenal quarterback, phenomenal athlete. But when I see stuff like this, just because this guy cried at the presser, I saw my quarterback obviously cry when we lost to the Chiefs on the field, not in the presser. Saw him lose a game because his tight end dropped the ball in the end zone for a 2-point conversion, which would have tied the game. And the only time you saw him cry, Asmodeus, thank you for joining the ring gang. I think he may have re-upped, but thank you for that.
Yeah,
Thank
appreciate that.
you. Oh, it's 9 months membership. I'll talk.
Nice.
We'll get in that. The only time that we saw Lamar cry for
Oh,
Hard
Lord.
Knocks was when they had the cameras in the locker room, and you got to see the exclusive back locker room footage. I'm not gonna feel sorry for him just because he cried. You know what I mean? No, that we're not doing that. He could cry every. I just don't care. I feel like that was just a cop out. To me, I think he's spoiled. I think he felt like the Super Bowl was gonna be deserved to him. This was his Super Bowl. I think he thought he was gonna have a
Mm,
cakewalk. No Mahomes, your demon, your kryptonite isn't in the playoffs, man. This is the Bills. I saw before the season he had like talk about this vision of being in Buffalo and it's 20 degrees out and the fans and the parade. You thought you were just deserve this. You thought this was coming to you, and it wasn't. And you're only crying because it didn't happen, like a spoiled kid. That's what I feel like it is. And it's nasty to me. And I see on NFL Network talking about, come on, Josh, keep your head up. No, no, you fucking have 4 turnovers. You, like you were probably one of the worst guys on the field. I'm just tired of just calling him like a little baby. This is a grown ass man. It's not an 18-year-old college player who dropped the pass. No, grown man. He falls short every single time. Forgive me for not feeling any sympathy. It's disgusting. It's nasty. And thank you to Cam Newton for calling it out. I appreciate it. I'm sorry, I hate to say it. We give that grace to young players. Big dog, you're supposed to be the number one, and you're playing like a bum. I bet you're not turning over that ball. This video, it's been stuck in my head
like,
for
is
weeks.
this cute? The I love cookies and then whatever. Like, it's cool when you first get in the league. But like you an 8-year vet, big dog. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, this was supposed to be Josh Allen's year. Like like I said, for the past couple of weeks, I dared the Bills to not win the Super Bowl, or at least make the Super Bowl, right, this year, with no Patrick Mahomes, with no Lamar Jackson, with no Joe Burrow. You got a bunch of kids. You got a bunch of kids. Bo Nix, Drake Mays running around. I mean, you got kids. You're supposed to be able to take care of these teams. You're supposed to be able to make the plays when you need to make them, and most importantly, not turn the football over. And that's the thing. Josh Allen came into this game not really turning the football over that much in postseason games. So for him to drop the ball the way that he did with the opportunity that the Bills had this season, yeah, you got to put the blame on him. In hindsight, we should be putting all of this blame on Josh Allen for losing this game. We should. Now, why do I think that the Bills lost in overtime? Again, I thought that Sean McDermott, Joe Brady, the play calling sucked, right? But overall, why did the Bills find themselves in a situation where they could lose in overtime? Because Josh Allen turned the football over 4 times, guys. That's what it boils down to, right? And all off season long, we have to make sure that we remember that, right? Because a lot of people are going to try to paint the narrative. Oh, Josh Allen, he was throwing the UPS drivers, and you only had like two good teammates. Deion Dawkins and James Cook were the only good ones, and James Cook was a fumbler. And there's going to be a whole bunch of narratives, like basically shooting him bail, right? But no, I think it's important. It's important to call out the fact that he lost them that game in what is probably their best year, because next year Mahomes is coming. Next year the new reinvented Ravens with Lamar Jackson, they're coming. And these kids are only going to get more mature, and they're going to get stronger. So I think that that's why, and I guess we can kind of use this to kind of shift into our next topic here. I think that that's why the Bills felt like that they had to get rid of Sean McDermott.
Hmm.
That's why they felt like that they had to get rid of him, because they felt like they probably felt like, okay, we don't want to fall behind in this league. You know what I mean? Like, we just got bounced out of the playoffs that didn't have the normal suspects, right? We were the odds-on favorites to come out of the AFC. I don't know if they were the odds-on favorites exactly, but if I had to assume, they were probably pretty good favorites.
I
They had
want to
pretty good
say
odds.
probably going into it, they probably it was them right behind maybe like the Patriots or something. But I think just speaking logically, if you would told me, if you had to put money on one team to make the Super Bowl, I probably would have said the Bills just because you trust
Yeah,
Allen to get like he has the experience. These other guys don't, and they just blew it. And kind of going on the Sean McDermott thing, I think
yeah,
the Ravens firing John Harbaugh was probably a huge factor into this. You can now say if it doesn't work out, well, the Ravens fired their long-term head coach, so we did the same thing because we fell short again. We both didn't make the Super Bowl with our MVP quarterback. By the way, the past two MVP quarterbacks not having a coach, you know what I mean? Like their coaching style,
insane.
it's crazy to think about. So now it's like they get rid of him. It's like, so now what do? You have your OC who's getting all these interviews. You promote him. It sucked for them because now they have to go through this interviewing process. Now some guys have gone, and I think Robert Saleh might be either the Cardinals coach or the Titans coach. I see Halfley went to the Dolphins. We have Stefanski going to the Falcons, Harbaugh to the Giants. Who some people talked about Harbaugh maybe the Bills if they fired McDermott. We'll never know. But now they're kind of stuck in a position. What do they do? I think they've given out some bad contracts to players. Christian Benford, I think they've given a big contract to him. Matt Milano, a big contract to him. And you're looking at their roster right now. It's like, well, you were putting these guys down. Maybe they aren't as good as you were talking about, or maybe this guy isn't as good. So I'm not sure what they do, but I feel like if somebody had to take the fall, it was McDermott. But I feel like the play calling from Joe Brady was just piss poor. I mean, awful.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, McDermott is the one who gets the axe here. You couldn't really excuse the way that the Bills ended that game. And again, like you said, the Ravens and basically Steve Bisciotti made it okay, he normalized it, right? Ripping the Band-Aid off. And that, I tweeted it earlier today, it created a ripple effect across the league. I don't think that if John Harbaugh was fired, if he wasn't fired and he was still a Ravens head coach right now, Mike Tomlin would still be the Steelers head coach, I believe. And Sean McDermott would still be the Bills head coach, I believe. So I mean, Steve Bisciotti, he seems to be a trendsetter, ever since last week, right? Or 2 weeks ago. But no, man. So that begs the question. We asked it at the very top of this video. Are the Ravens still the most popular, most sought after, most coveted head coaching position in the NFL that is currently available? Because now you have the Buffalo Bills. But I mean, earlier last week, once the Steelers got rid of Mike Tomlin, or he stepped down or whatever, a lot of people were saying, okay, well, is the Steelers a more attractive job than the Ravens? But a lot of people say, no, you can't be serious, right? They don't have a solid situation at quarterback, right? They have so much uncertainty with the Steelers. The Ravens are still the top spot to go. But now that the Bills, an AFC powerhouse, have an opening at head coach, does that sway kind of the, thought process of maybe a Clint Kubiak or what other coaches? I know Clint Kubiak was one of your guys, Alex. What do you think happens here? Just answer the question for me. Like, do you think that the Ravens are still the top coaching spot, or is it the Bills now?
I still think we are. And obviously, I have my gripes with Eric DaCosta, and I think they are reasonable. But when you look at a Brandon Bean who just got even more power, and Eric DaCosta, Brandon Bean has only drafted, I believe, two Pro Bowlers. Look at their past drafts. they are not pretty at all. Uh,
Yeah.
and I look at the Ravens. Obviously, we've hit, but obviously our day three drafting isn't the best, and I'm not gonna try to put too much on that EDC because I know Harbaugh has picked his guys in day three. Your Michigan guys, your guys who uh, the wife's long distant cousin liked in college, and we pick them, and then we have that.
Right.
I think the
Friend
14
of a
overall,
friend.
exactly, the 14 overall pick I think is big for us. You have a plethora of talent. I think that's we're in the upper half of there. I'm still gonna go with I think the Ravens is more desirable. I think you have Derrick Henry, obviously. You have guys like Keaton Mitchell, um, the receivers as well. You have Zay Flowers. Not sure what happens with Bateman, and then you look at the defense as well. You have guys to build around. Obviously, Matty BK is still a big question mark. Not sure what's going on with him, but I think the Ravens, and I think being able to have input with the GM is big as well. So I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I'm not saying it's a huge margin, but I still think the Ravens are most desirable, and I think we can land whatever candidate we want.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree. And you made a good point that I hadn't really thought about until you said something. I mean, the Ravens do have the 14th pick. They have a pretty damn good pick, you know? And if you are a head coach who, has the confidence within yourself, which I assume a lot of these guys do, if not all of them, you can make something work with that. I have the 14th pick, and I also have Lamar freaking Jackson and Derrick Henry. Like, who doesn't want that? Just the combination of those three things. And we haven't even talked about, the Kyle Hamiltons and the Travis Jones. And, maybe you can turn the clocks back for Roquan Smith or somebody like that. I mean, we haven't even talked about all the other opportunities or possibilities, right? That you can make with this roster. So yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think that the Ravens are still the top spot. For a lot of people though, and I think for especially national media, it'll just boil down to how you feel about Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Do you think Josh Allen is better than Lamar? Okay, then the Bills are the top spot. Do you think Lamar's better than Josh Allen? Then the Ravens are. But people don't really look at the nuance of both teams, right? I mean, you looked at, like you said, Brandon Bean has not hit on a whole lot of players, right? Their roster is relatively weak, if we just call it what it is. And I think that they, kind of overperformed, overachieved a little bit for what their roster is. Um, but the Ravens are sitting right there. I mean, you've got everything you need. Like I always use the kitchen analogy. If these head coaches are chefs, right? You're gonna walk into a kitchen that has absolutely everything that you could possibly need to make whatever you want, right? So I totally agree with you here. Let me see what we have here in the chat.
Yeah,
Let me see. Flagship Fantasy says here we have a high pick, a lot of picks as usual, have more talent on our roster, a weaker division with Tomlin gone, and an owner who does not move off of coaches easily.
and you think about it too. Somehow, some way, Zach Taylor survived out of everybody. Zach Taylor
Mm,
is the only coach in the AFC North right now, and the two
yeah,
coaches before today to get picked up were both AFC North coaches. Stefanski to the Falcons, Harbaugh to the Giants. And then
yeah,
maybe it's like teams look at the AFC North as like a team where the stable franchises are, obviously like the Ravens and the Steelers. But I think Stefanski is a solid coach. I think him going to Atlanta is probably best for both parties. But I definitely think it has gotten weaker. I think it was confirmed that Aaron Rodgers most likely will not be back in Pittsburgh. So what do they do now, quarterback wise? I've seen
yeah,
Connor Murray thrown. I've seen maybe they put Will Howard in. Maybe they try to get somebody else who, gets cut or whatever. I'm not too sure, and I just like where we're at. The Ravens, I think you got to knock this pick out of the park with the coaches. I was watching the Seahawks offense. They were doing some things. They were getting the best out of their players. Rashid Shaheed, kind of a gadget guy, getting the best out of him on offense. JSN. There were a couple calls on third down I didn't like, but outside of that, I thought he played a clean game. And one thing they did not do was let their freaking foot off the gas. They put up 41 points on their division rival. I saw the Ravens go up 21 to nothing against the Steelers last year in the playoffs, and they took the foot off the gas, only won 28 to 14. I would have loved to embarrass the Steelers at home in the playoffs, like the Seahawks did. Man, maybe that's a Mike McDonald thing, but if you get a guy like Clint Kubiak, I think he brings that same mentality, same anger, and just same ruthlessness. So I think if we
yeah.
get one of the guys like that, knock it out of the park, I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah, and I forgot to bring this up from Asmodeus. He said, celebrating 9 months of membership. Again, appreciate you, Asmodeus, that is, who's a moderator here in our chat. Says the Bills choked worse than Heather Brooke. If you know, you know. Unfortunately, I do not know
I do not know.
about that. Who are your preferred head coaching picks at this point, and what is the first round pick dream?
Mm,
When it comes to first round pick dream, in terms of a name that I would want, not sure yet. Not sure
yeah.
yet. I got to shift into my draft mode. That'll be coming soon, and I'll
Yeah.
let you know exactly who I want to bring in. I'll be heavy on the draft this year, guys. But let me see head coaching picks at this point. So let's talk about it, Alex. I was reading a tweet from Jeff Zrebiec earlier today,
Mhm.
and he tweeted how well he was tweeting his best guesses
Okay.
currently for the 5 finalists for the Ravens head coaching position. Let me know what you think of some of these names. Anthony Weaver, who is actually going to come in for a second in-person interview tomorrow, right? So that's Tuesday. Jesse Minter, Mike McDaniel, Nate Shieldhassy, and Clint Kubiak. Now, out of those names, Alex, I'm assuming that your favorite is Clint Kubiak, right? If I remember correctly.
It is. It is.
Now, do you think that with the Bills job opening up, do you think that is potential? There's potential that we lose him to the Bills.
No. I'm gonna go back to this whole GM thing. I think we've seen EDC at times. He can maybe do things that are uncharacteristic of him. Brandon Bean, I'm just not sure about this guy.
Mm.
He reminds me of a EDC with Greg Roman. He got Brandon Cooks, um, I think Josh Palmer last year. Obviously, what's EDC done? OBJ and DeAndre Hopkins, but I just don't think he's really tried to upgrade the weapons there after Stephon Diggs. It hasn't been good, so I think he'd still pick the Ravens, and I think it
And
fits
another,
caliber of offense a lot better than the Bills.
yeah, and another point, the Ravens have actually already scheduled. Well, they have already had an interview with Clint Kubiak, a Zoom interview. But now Clint Kubiak is saying that he's not taking any more interviews until the Seahawks season is over, as he should. So I think that the Ravens, for that reason, have a leg up
Mm,
over the Bills, right? Because they've already talked to him, they've already spoken with him, and when the season is over for the Seahawks, I think it'll be easier, just a little bit easier for them to reach out to Clint Kubiak, say, "Hey, look, Clint, we really liked, your interview on Zoom. We want to bring you to the castle, spend a day with you, whatever." And they might be able to hire him on the spot right there,
yeah,
as opposed to the Bills who have to, preliminary interviews. Well, even though I don't know how that would go after the season. Maybe they could just bring him in, for the one time, bring him into their building. But I don't know. I do think that the Ravens have a leg up over the Bills when it comes to one Clint Kubiak. Another guy, Alex, that I wanted to mention was
yeah.
Anthony Weaver. Anthony Weaver, like I said, is going to be in the castle tomorrow. Are you in or are you out on Anthony Weaver, and why? Because what we're getting with Anthony Weaver, really quick, I mean, you get a defensive minded guy, and you also get a guy who knows the system. He knows the Ravens, right? I mean, played with the Ravens from '02 to '05, I think, coached with them as linebackers coach, um, or one of the assistant coaches from 21 to 23, something like that. So are you in or are you out on Anthony Weaver, and why?
I'm out as the head coach. Defensive coordinator, I'd be open to it. I did see his Dolphins blow fourth quarter drives. They'd let the Chargers just come down and just freaking walk right down on them to win the game. This well, I don't really want. I mean, at the same time, like I said, I wanted Mike McDonald, and he was under the Harbaugh regime. But as for like Anthony Weaver, I just don't think it's the right fit. I think it's time to go in a whole new direction, just head coaching wise, just fresh energy, fresh blood. And I think I'll be disappointed if we were to get him. It's the safe pick. I'm not
Yeah,
into safe right now. I'm into going outside your comfort zone.
big swings.
Yes, and that's kind of where I'm at with the NFL. With big swing, the Rams hiring McVay at 30 years old. Big swing. Mike McDonald, this young guy who was just a defensive coordinator 2 years. Big swing. That's what I'm thinking. I'm looking at now, and I'm good on that. Most respectfully, I appreciate what he's done, but just not as a head coach.
Yeah. No, so here's another guy, and I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't want any lateral type moves, and that's exactly what Anthony Weaver would feel like. But here's another guy who's actually currently the odds-on favorite to be
Mm,
the new Ravens head coach, and that's going to be Jesse Minter. Jesse Minter. Now, he is a little bit of a Harbaugh disciple, right? Maybe more so Jim than John, but he's a Harbaugh disciple nonetheless. But I think the thing that's so great about Jesse Minter, like theoretically, is when you look at a Mike McDonald, and you look at the success that he's currently enjoying, you kind of have to like it makes Jesse Minter look better and better. The better that Mike McDonald does, it makes Jesse Minter look more attractive as the head coach, for the Ravens. Because you get a defensive minded genius, right? You get the upside of potentially what Mike McDonald is doing right now, and you get a little bit of continuity because he's also a hardball guy. So I think that, and again, the rumblings in the media is that that's probably going to end up the guy. We don't know yet, but there's a reason I would assume why he is the odds-on favorite in terms of how Vegas sees it. But what do you think about Jesse Minter as of right now?
It's safe once again. I think it's them admitting they were wrong about Mike McDonald. At the same time, though, coming off the AFC Championship, it's hard to see them firing Harbaugh or getting rid of him. So I understand that. I just I think it's very safe, and I think it would work. I'm not saying he'd be coach of the year, but he would be a top coach for us. But I've watched him mic'd up with the Chargers. I like how he talks to his teammates. To his players. He's a players coach. He can lead. He checks boxes for me, but I think where I'm at now, seeing offensively, I think I'm leaning more offensively and a leader rather than defensive. And if I went defensive, I'm thinking so maybe you throw Brian Flores is there as well for outside, just more fresh blood rather than Harbaugh disciple. But I
Yeah,
wouldn't hate it, but it's just like okay, it's like a draft pick. It's like us drafting Malachi Starks, BPA. That's what I'm going to equate it to. It's not
fair.
sexy or flashy, but it's going to fit the Ravens, and it's a Ravens thing.
Yeah. I guess it would be more BCA, best coach available, huh? In this instance, maybe that's a coin we'll end up having to, a term we'll end up having to coin. Now, listen, uh, for me, and I was just thinking about this as I was listening to you talk. If we're gonna go with a defensive minded head coach, I think that the number one question that should be asked in the in person interviews to a defensive minded head coach, hey, how do you plan on evolving Lamar Jackson's offense? And how well you answer that question should heavily factor in to the final decision on whether or not you can be the Ravens head coach. Adversely, if you're an offensive minded head coach, hey, what is your plan to manufacture turnovers and big plays and force negative plays, especially in the postseason? And depending on how well you answer that question, will factor in heavily to whether or not you can become the next Ravens head coach. You know, and then also final question for both sides: how do you plan on really taking control and leading this locker room? Like that should be for both sides. But I mean, there's a reason why I'm not doing the interviews. But if I was, those are some of the things that I would ask. Now, moving along, because some of these guys kind of check some of those boxes. Some of them I don't really know if they would. One guy being Mike McDaniel, who's also kind of risen in popularity in terms of, okay, can he be the next Ravens head coach? I'm out on head coach. I don't want head coach. Apparently, he would be open to an offensive coordinating role, which, boy, do I have a job for you, buddy. Like, if you want to take that OC role, by all means. But head coach, I need a leader of men. I don't really see Mike McDaniel being a little bit too quirky for me, a little bit too hip for me. I mean, he's probably great to go get a beer with, but in terms of leading a football team, I just don't see that from Mike McDaniel. What say you?
he's he's grown on me. I'm not saying he's obviously in my top, but he's definitely grown on me. I think I've seen some clips of him talking to Tua with the Dolphins. They're hard knocks or they're mic'd up, and then hearing Darren Waller talk about him as well. Just very high regards for him and just kind of the coach he is. Um, I just maybe I'm too stuck on the quirky thing. Maybe I'm stuck on the high water pants. Maybe I'm stuck on that. I don't know. Maybe it's a look, and maybe I shouldn't judge him off that. But it's just other stuff like that. Just I've seen it in the interviews, and the guy got caught vaping on the sideline. You know what I mean, in an NFL game. Like I don't really think that's gonna be the coach. Am I wrong?
It's a bad
DJ
influence on
says
the
Mike McDaniel
players.
is Alex in 10 years. No, I wish I had his offensive genius. That's crazy. That is,
That's crazy, Spooky J.
I'm done. But I can see the vision maybe with that, but I just don't think we're talking about leader of men. I don't see um that as the guy, and maybe I'm wrong, but I would take Minter over McDaniel at this point. So to kind of to put it into words. There we go. Is the mic? The mic's muted. The mic's muted. Ah, it's all good. Um, we see here. Josh says he acts like a clown. What it is, right? Yeah, it is. He does act like a clown. At the same time, maybe John act like a clown dancing in the locker room after you are 1 seed and you beat a wild or beat the Texans team with a rookie quarterback. That's a bit clownish behavior as well. And Cam says McDaniels is OC, just let him focus on offense. Yeah, I was surprised the Lions didn't get him as their OC. They announced their new OC today, and I think McDaniels would have cooked with them. Um, I think Dan Campbell spoke highly of him and said just it wasn't a fit, and maybe that quirkiness is a thing. Maybe the biting kneecaps and the quirkiness of all Mike McDaniel wouldn't have fit together. Sincere says, "Is a Mike McD our head coach?" Mike McDaniel, not Mike McDonald. That is what we're talking about. Spooky J, yeah, he ripped a fat cloud. I believe it was in Buffalo. It was a cold game. Process Alex for OC, Sutton for DC, coach to tally for head coach. Who says no? Give me DC. I am more of a defensive guy. I'm never playing Madden. Give me the defensive coordinator role. OC, I'm not the best. We're doing Wildcat like every play. um, John absolutely acting like a clown, so corny, but at least he took himself seriously at the very least. Speaking of that, here's what I'm happy about. We never have to hear who's got it better than us in the Ravens locker room. And love you. Thank you for the subscription. That just made my day thinking about that. I didn't have to hear that corny catchphrase, that line. Just made my day. Yeah, never again. World Class says T. Martin for head coach. He did get the OC interviews. Didn't get it with the Lions. I think he was interviewing with the Commanders as well. Didn't get that. That's interesting. As head coach, man, that's a big jump. I would like to get him see OC somewhere, if not be the Ravens. I think he's definitely elevated Lamar's game. We saw compared with James Urban before. I think with James Urban, they're focusing more on like the running than the passing. T. Martin comes in. This guy has his best seasons passing, 41-4. I mean, that's insane. So how this guy has not gotten more, I think, talks as an OC or even maybe head coach, you want to say. I think we've seen QB coaches get more for less. I'll be honest, getting the promotions for less what they done with the quarterback. So that's a good name that I really haven't thought about. Stretch has passed too big of a jump for him. I get it. Maybe you want to see him in OC for a year or so before you give him the head coach. I'm fully on board with that. But I keep on saying Clint Kubiak, Mike McDaniel. How do you feel about Robert Salah after 41-6? Because I was big on him. I was big. It still could be big on him, but obviously, context is necessary. No Bosa. Um, Sutton, his laptop died. Oh, it sucks. No Bosa, no Warner. That hurts, but at the same time, they got walked down on by Darnold. And depending how you rate him, I still think he's a good quarterback, but 41 points in the playoff game is awful. World class. Nobody's been in Lamar's corner than T. Martin has, and nobody's helped Lamar improve like him. Yeah, I can agree. And maybe Lamar is vouching for him. We don't know. I think that's what I kind of like as like a Ravens fan. We really don't know the way Lamar keeps to himself. Um, RJ Roberts, Celeste, your number one pick. Interesting. I saw he has an interview with the Titans today in person, and then I think he's flying to Arizona as well. I think those are the two picks. I think it's him, Nagy, and somebody else for the Titans. It's kind of crazy. Nagy's getting possibly another role as head coach, considering how it worked with the Bears. But as long as it's not in Baltimore, I'll take it. Yeah, keep him far away from here. Josh, who's going to be held accountable for the offensive line? Nobody. And speaking of that, I saw George Warhop is being interviewed for the Giants offensive line. A little bit of ramble sesh here, kind of talking all things NFL. Are you kidding me? This Warhop fellow is going to get another shot in the NFL. I mean, it's Harbaugh. It makes sense. I think it's the only guy who would give him a role. But come on now, we saw what this line. This line was it was awful, god awful, and this guy's getting another job. It's just knowing the right people in life gets you a very long way. Just remember that. Um, Josh, I saw you need context. Otherwise, I start thinking about Aaron Rodgers, NFL celebrity rehab. Yes, yes, indeed. JD says Clint needs to be the head coach. I agree. I'm a big Clint guy. Might be number one. Um, and then let's see, world class. Nobody can support Lamar's culture as a Raven like Ray Lewis and Ed Reed has. So that's my rant. Culture is more important and better for the team and offense. I think that's the question they're asking head coaches coming into. interviews, culture. How will you improve this culture? Obviously, people talk about John Harbaugh and the culture. I think Billick was kind of the forefront for that play like a Raven. For me, I think of guys like Kelly Gregg, Gary Johnson, even Darius Thomas, Trevor Price. Not the flashiest guys, but guys nonetheless that came in, played like a Raven, played their freaking butts off, and produced and freaking produced. So I would love a good culture as well. Ashley says Harbaugh on a great friend though, putting people on. Hell yeah, he's put multiple people on. I mean, hell, we got Greg Roman still floating around the NFL. I mean, the Harbaugh has put on Greg, put on G-Ro. He had his years with the Niners, then the Bills, and then the Ravens. I mean, if you're a friend of the Harbaugh, you have a job for life. Hell, Willie Taggart, friend of the Harbaughs, was our running back coach. Uh, Asmodeus Billick was an offensive coach. Had that great offense with the Vikings. Cunningham, Moss, Carter. Comes over here, now it's defense, Defense won the championship with freaking Trent Dilfer. So definitely a lot to talk about coaching wise, and it doesn't stop. We're now what tomorrow is 2 weeks without a head coach, and we've gotten what 15, 16, 17 interviews done, and there could be more. I mean, wouldn't surprise me honestly if they maybe bring in Sean McDermott for an interview, a virtual interview. Wouldn't surprise me. I think you're touching every single stone, which perfectly fine with. Rainmaker Clint needs to bring Flores as DC. Would he take that job? Would he take DC, or does he think he'll be head coach? And I think Flores might go to Pittsburgh. I think it's just such a good fit. I don't think he'll be DC anywhere else unless maybe he doesn't get the Pittsburgh job. But for them, who are their candidates? You think the best candidates? I know maybe Chris Shula. We haven't talked about him too much. Um, yeah, definitely a lot with the coaching carousel. Um, Culture is great. Let's talk X's and O's. And, and Bishotti saying that in the presser. I think it's time for the X's and O's guys. Same with EDC. Hmm. Flores feels like Tomlin 2.0. It all matches up. I mean, they both came from the Vikings, defensive guys. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Just got the message from Sutton saying, go ahead and wrap the show up. My Mac is bugging. So I'm going to wrap it up. Sutton is unfortunately behind the scenes. I would love to have him here. So I will do the honors. I appreciate everybody coming out to episode 371 of the Purple Rain podcast. A lot to talk about. We have the Thursday show. We'll be previewing the championship games. Who will make it to the Super Bowl? We'll have the Purple Rain parlay. We'll have it all. So thank you all for spending this hour and 17 minutes with us. We truly appreciate it. As always, stay positive, just negative. Don't forget to ever, ever, ever call God. Thank you guys and have a fantastic night. Peace.